artistry unbroken. Such an adventurous journey to places far and near, up toward shining galaxies, to inward visions clear, from tops of highest mountains to depths of endless seas. So many forms from Maya's touch, parts of her ever-changing dream. Until you wake me from this dream, please be in this dream with me. Mother, father, child, friend, my dearest beloved, there are heroes and villains, there are sages and saints, there are singers and lovers, and there are artists with paints, there are parents and children, and very powerful kings, there are rich men and poor men who are beggars of many things. There are Bengal tigers and king cobras and grand elephants, such great oceans and fishes with deep secret haunts. There are mountains and valleys and great flying birds, and storm clouds and rainbows, and so many sounds to be heard. There is laughter and there are tears, there is hope and there are fears, there is courage and there is strength and there is sorrow. There are songs to be sung and so much work to be done, and prayers to be said for today and tomorrow. There is night and then there's day, as time keeps on slipping away, affecting both the old and young in this whole world spinning. There is shyness and boldness and warmth and coldness and unending compassion for all under the sun. Chapters in a life build up to a lifelong tale, through days and months and years, as long as time prevails. From thoughts and words and actions, life's tapestry is woven into patterns so very intricate, with artistry unbroken. Such an adventurous journey to places far and near, up toward shining galaxies, to inward visions clear, from tops of highest mountains
Good morning. Okay, we'll start with lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, lead us from death to immortality, light us through and through with thy effulgent face. May we be in your care forever. Peace, peace, peace. Okay, today's topic. It isn't really chaos, is it? What is the definition of chaos? Well, the ordinary dictionary one is, I'm going to quote, a state of utter confusion or a confused mass or mixture. Another secondary definition is a state of things in which change is supreme. The ancient Greeks defined it as the god of emptiness, or the goddess of chaos, who's the personification of primordial emptiness, the space which existed before time. Okay, with those two definitions, the ones that we seem to be the most familiar with right now is the state of confusion and chaos. Does anyone feel like their lives are a little out of whack? Or the world is a little out of whack, is in a state of utter confusion and disorder? I think some of us do. And if not all the time, periodically our own lives are, things seem to be going kind of, what's happening right now? I know many people I've talked to said, it just seems so confusing and nothing's going quite right. And what do we do to try and cope with this? Our first impulse is to try and change our external environment, to try and control something, because we feel so out of control. We feel like we can't, nothing's going the way we want it to go. We have a sort of a plan, so what do we try and do first? Okay, we try and change our environment, we try and change a job, we try and cope with the frustration and anxiety that this chaos brings. We can make changes in some of these things. We can make changes, but will they give us a semblance of peace? Because I think that's what all of us would like is peace of mind, where we can actually sit and be comfortable with ourselves, be comfortable with what's going on, a sense of peace in our life. Is there any way for us to do this? Will changing a job do it? Will changing your group of friends do it? Will learning a new hobby do it? Will learning a new language do it? All of these things will keep our minds occupied. They will all make changes in our environment. But are we getting to the real source of our discomfort? And what can we do to get to that comfort zone? Well, most of these things that cause our discomfort, going outside seldom solves the problem. Because I think, as we've all found in our lives, you change your environment, you move to a different place, you get a new group of friends, but the same old thing keeps coming up eventually. Because the one thing we can change is ourselves. But this is a Herculean task, because we have all developed through this life and through past lives, we call them samskaras, have habits that we revert to. And we habitually do, we're kind of like, I don't know what you would call it. We keep seeking a solution with the same old practices. We keep doing the same thing over and over again, and we keep wondering why it isn't solving our problem. Now, we can create new habits, but as I say, this takes a tremendous effort, because a habit is the hardest thing in the world to break or to replace. When I first encountered Vedanta many years ago, we were told not to repress things that you wanted to get rid of because it makes them stronger, but to sublimate and replace with the desired behavior or the desired emotion. And this, it took me quite a while to figure out, okay, so if you want to go on a diet, you say, I'm not going to eat sugar from now on. Well, how long does that last? Your craving for sugar goes way up. And you're looking at everything and seeing how you can get some candy. And that's with everyone. If you're going to go, I'm not going to swear anymore. We get some, and all of a sudden all these words are pouring out of the mouth, right? I'm not going to criticize anyone anymore. Oh dear, that's a bad one. Because suddenly you can see everyone's faults. That's why they say not to repress these feelings, but to sublimate them, change the direction of them, change the emphasis of them. We cannot take control of our inner peace by placing all these rules on ourselves, because it actually becomes more disorganized. We scatter our mind a bit more in every direction on how we're going to change this, we're going to change that, I'm going to be better on this, I'm going to try to be honest in all instances, I'm not going to tell those silly excuses, I'll just say, I don't have time. But I don't have to say, oh, I'm busy, I have to do something else. And we all do that too, to not hurt people's feelings when they want us to do something. Oh, I'll get back to you. Well, we're not going to. We knew we weren't going to do it. We didn't have time for it. But instead of being honest, we make these little excuses. Because when things come up that disturb us and cause us anxiety, our first reaction is an emotional one from old habits, old patterns of behavior. And we have to stop and kind of take a breath and see if that's going to work for us. But how do we stop and take a breath? Well, it's by using all those old things God, probably some of your great-grandmother said to you at this point, things that my grandmother said to me. Count to 10 before you reply. That counting to 10 is that little space that you give yourself so you can say, watch what's coming out of your mouth before it's out. Emotions jump out of your mouth and you have no control over it. But if you count to 10, you have a little control. You can think it over. Take a deep breath. Okay? They say that a lot now. Take a couple deep breaths and think about what you're going to be doing and saying. Step back from the situation and look at it. I had a funny one just now. Okay. I hardly ever wear my hearing aids because they're really annoying. But I put them on this morning so that I could actually hear things. And I was walking towards the kitchen, and all of a sudden they're screaming, and I'm going, what's wrong? I haven't had them on in ages, and here they are just making this horrendous noise, and frantically turning them down. And I stepped in the kitchen, and it was the tea kettle. No, it was the tea kettle screaming, and I went, well, that's a real lesson in my life. I make assumptions. I assumed, because I really don't like my hearing aids, that it was my hearing aids. So we're going to get rid of those. But it was the tea kettle screaming. We make these kind of assumptions and predictions all the time. I mean, that's a silly one, but it's very much in my face. We make assumptions with anything that we're looking at, anything that might come up, and we go into this, our emotional responses. A speculative one. What if? What if this happens? What if that person says that? The last time this happened, I can predict exactly what's going to happen again. Well, we can't. Or the one that I love best is, well, it's always that way. Or they always say that. That's not true. You know, I mean, that's refuted every day by what, but I do resort to they say, and then we debate who's they. You know, the popular whatever. Swami Prabhavananda used to say, because he had a little bit of an accent, and he said, don't speculate. Never speculate. Just look at the situation and see what's really going on. And then you look at it and you say, how is this, in today's world, I mean, we have to look at a lot of things. We have to look at climate change, we have to look at economic change, we have to look at everything and say, how much is directly impacting my life? Not what we hear on the news and what they're speculating, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen, and there's a lot of speculation. But how is this directly affecting my life? Well, it's hotter in Santa Barbara, and now more of us need air conditioning, which we never did 45, 50 years ago. It was 10 hot days, and you were fine. But now, and what can I do about it? What can I honestly do? Can I do something in the physical world? You know, you can get an air conditioner. You can make yourself more comfortable. But what can I do that will change the situation? If you're politically active, you can do that. If you're not politically active, and tend more to the spirituality, you can pray for the situation. Those are things any one of us can do. But instead of getting wound up in too much anxiety and worry, to honestly look at what is impacting my life with this event or this situation. And yes, you do something. You take an active stance if there is something you can do. Otherwise, you have to adjust. You have to adjust your thinking, your attitudes, your evaluation of things in order to give you peace. Because as we all know, there probably will never be peace in the world at the same time all over the world. There never has been. It's not part of the general scheme. Everything goes on at once, but it is in balance. It doesn't look like it sometimes, but everything is. It's our own minds that are creating our sense of chaos, for the most part. We have to look inward. And I'm going to quote Swami Sarvagachananda, whose book I've recommended many times. Being Spiritual, Staying Practical. It's a book you don't need to read through. It's little daily excerpts, but they're not by days. They're the days he said something and someone took it down. And this one I find extremely helpful. And I'll quote, like physical pain, any mental suffering, worry, anxiety, tension, is an indication that something needs to be attended to. Find out what it is. Ask yourself if you have control over it and what you can do. If it is something over which you have no control because it depends on something outside yourself, then find a way to adjust. Never must your person outside, wait just a second. Never must your peace and joy depend on any object or person outside of yourself. Your peace and joy is inside, and you are the one that has control over it. If they do, you become a slave. You have given away your innate power peace, and happiness to someone else. If that is more important to you than what's in you. Suffering is better than slavery. This is him again. If it is something over which you do have control, then cultivate and strengthen that control and firmly tell the mind what is what. But we have to think about that whenever we're angry at someone and it's over a past event, oftentimes it's from our childhood. We're still angry with a parent or a friend. It's gone. And who's it hurting at this point? The only person that it is hurting is yourself. You have become a slave to that idea. And you are the one that can let go of it. You can let go of it. You can go beyond it. You can become the master of your own emotion. And we do have to control our emotions and control our reactions. We have to basically train our minds in the way we want it to be. We have to train our minds. It's not cast in concrete. We change our mind all the time. Today, I like chocolate best. No, I'm really tired of chocolate. I don't like chocolate anymore. We change ourselves all the time. I'm going to exercise. I like jogging. I don't. I never have, but we'll say that. And now I don't want to jog anymore. That's really boring. I think I'll take up pickleball. Our minds are so changeable, but for the most part, they change with outside stimulus rather than with the control of our intellect. We have different levels of consciousness, and the sensate level is the lowest. Then comes the mind, then comes the intellect, then comes the buddhi, which is your spiritual overrider. It's in the Gita, it's in most every scripture. We can exercise the higher controls, and we can quietly redirect our minds to the path that we would like. I just read this wonderful book and it's only wonderful because I just read it, so it's right in the top of my head, called Atomic Habits. I don't know if any of you have read it, but it's how to train your mind to more positive thoughts. And the way this man, James Clear, does it is kind of like we train a dog. We give it rewards when it does the right thing. We don't force it, but we carefully put a desired activity or mental thought. Okay, say one of the things that we love doing is getting on the internet and going through Instagram or Facebook. And you can spend, sometimes if you go down the rabbit hole, it's an hour and a half later and you, oh my God, what happened to the time? So you don't want to do that anymore. So what you do is you say, I'm going to replace that by reading a book or taking a walk. But I'm only going to walk, I'm only going to read 3 pages, and then I can do what I want to do. So you start slowly and do this, and pretty soon you're not so absolutely, I don't want to say addicted to going down the rabbit hole, but that's what it feels like sometimes. And you do this with any habit that's not serving you well in your life. So you find a new habit. How would I change that habit? And put it in front of the bad habit. And the bad habit is a reward for you having done the new one, because the new one is boring at first. And it's tiresome, and I really don't want to do it. But I promise I will do it for 2 minutes, or I will do it. Set a very short goal, and you can increase the goal. And then pretty soon the bad habit is replaced. But you haven't gone through the agony of, I'm not going to do that again, where you can't stop thinking about it. So we can do that. This is what Atomic Habits had to say. And the other part of this, when he says replacing negative or unproductive habits that you have, habits that are not serving you well in your life, I think we all have a sort of an ideal of how we would like our life to be, or how we would like to be happy, we would like to be content, we would like to be peaceful. And so we look at the things that we are doing now every day, and is this serving me? Is it leading me to that peace of mind that I want? Now, we do have to stay healthy. We have to keep our bodies healthy. We have to keep our, I always get mixed up in my notes too. You're all used to this. We have what we call in Vedanta the koshas. And we have, I'm not going to give you the Sanskrit names. We have the physical kosha, the vital kosha, which is our nervous system, the mental kosha, the intellectual kosha, and the blissful kosha. These are states that we live in. The physical kosha we have to keep fit, but we don't have to put our whole mind on it, because it's only a vehicle. It's like you take care of your car. You don't have to spend 16 hours a day polishing the car to get it so that you can get in it to go one place to another. It's a tool, it's a vehicle. The vital kosha, the nervous system, we have to learn to relax. And for some people, this is extremely hard. But in Santa Barbara, I think it's a little easier because we have some of the most gorgeous sunsets, sunrises. We can look out at them every single evening as we come up to Vespers. You look out over the ocean, and the colors of the sunsets. I mean, even if it's for 2 minutes, there's a peace that comes. We have such beauty around us, such beauty. Okay. The mental kosha is the one that we are trying to work on, because this mental kosha is where our ego identification is, where everything, I mean, it's the one that gets us tied down. And we have to ignore the negativity. It's fairly normal for people to see the negative before they can see the positive. Something, I don't know why that is. Well, I think probably that movie way back in the 40s, Pollyanna, did a lot to tell people they couldn't just see the positive, that it was somehow a character defect. Well, guess what? It isn't. It's actually something that is very hard to cultivate, and we should try to see the positive in every situation. What we can learn from it. It may not be pleasant, but we can see something positive about it. It may be a lesson to learn. It's not like, oh, everything's fine. No, nothing's wrong with the world. It means, yes, I can be peaceful. Things are not going the way I want them to be, but it's a lesson I have to learn. And we can learn these lessons without being morose, depressed, or unhappy. I mean, I learned math and science, and it wasn't the easiest thing, but we learned it. I mean, we had to memorize our times tables. I hear people don't do that anymore. There's a couple things that I heard people don't do anymore. They don't learn cursive writing, and they don't do times tables. Was a shock. And then we have to address our intellectual kosha. The intellect is the one that can reason and discriminate. This is the one that we have to really activate, looking at everything we see, deciding what is important in our life and what is not important, and to relate them in a realistic manner, not in our emotional, past, habitual manner. We were teasing about it today. Someone said, well, one of my sisters, she said, I'll have to leave your lecture early. And I went, yeah, it's because you hate me. I mean, this is a childish reaction, but it's one that I do believe more than many people have had in their lives. Hopefully we've all gotten over that. We don't have to take everything so personally. It's just, I have to leave your lecture. Oh, okay. And then we have to learn that, to relate events in a realistic, and when I say a realistic manner, one that coincides with the, I don't want to say that too much, coincides with the general definition rather than our own narrow-mindedness, because most of our negative reactions and our negative correlating events is a very ego-based thing. It's not a unity-based evaluation. Does that make sense? Okay, when I say a unity-based evaluation, I mean we're looking at in Vedanta to say that we are all one. We are all exactly the same inside, in our very deepest being, which we call the Atman, our soul. We are one. There is no difference. We all want the same things in life. We want the same things. We have the same aspirations. But when we start identifying with the external differences, then we have to, most of our relating, how we form relationships between ideas, is more based on our personal ego-based thing, identification, rather than identification of unity. And then we come to our blissful kosha. And if we can get over the ego-based identification and get to the unity identification, then there is no one that we do not love. Because we love ourselves, we love the Lord, we love everyone. And so this is the only way that there can be, to my mind, peace in the world, one person at a time. And if we do that, I remember just reading something Gandhi said, and he said, peace and love always conquer. It may take a lot longer than you think, but power and greed always fall. And it's true. We've seen it historically over and over and over again. So what we have to do to lessen the chaos that we sometimes feel we're experiencing is stop the chaos in ourselves. Stop our inner turmoil. Stop our anxieties over sometimes real things, sometimes unreal things. Sometimes it's an interpretation that we have superimposed upon different situations. But it's the inner chaos that makes us think it's outside. The second definition that I read to you when I said that the ancient Greeks thought that chaos was the goddess of emptiness, this comes the closest to the Buddhist idea of emptiness. No, it's not one that I personally, it's not my personal choice, but I tend to go towards the more tantric interpretation of fullness. Now, emptiness is nothing is real, and everything, and the tantric idea of fullness is everything is God. Every single thing we see, every person we see, every animal, every tree, everything is a manifestation of God. And that appeals to me much more than denying all of this beauty that I see. But that doesn't make, I mean, those are just personal choices, what appeals to you, because we don't all have to have exactly the same belief. We have to pursue, the only thing that we have to pursue for our own peace of mind is our inner divinity, which is in everyone. And we have to find that in ourselves, and then my version is we see it everywhere. And the other way you can go about it is trying to see it everywhere, and pretty soon you will, because as they say, Swami Sheshananda, who was a saint of the order, said, today's imagination is tomorrow's realization. Well, if you can imagine it, it is, you can do it. You are the Atman, so you have all the power inside you. We just have to find it or uncover it. Ramakrishna used to say that there's a veil that we put over our own divinity, and it's we who can take the veil off, not anyone else. We each have to do it for ourselves. We have to remove that veil and know our divinity. Okay. I'll do one more quote. This was when I said we get into trouble in the intellectual and the mental state with the identification with our ego. Now, we all know that our ego is our identification with this. Our body, our mind, our activities, our jobs. How do you define yourself? Think about how you define yourself. I'm a nun. Do I define myself as that? Well, I spent about 15 years going, I'm not a nun. I was here, but no, I don't like that word, so I'm not that. But how do we define ourselves? That's the first thing we have to look. Some people, I know I met someone who is I was reading a book, that's what I was doing. And they said that there were two sisters in the town, and they had congealed at 16. Now, they were in their 50s, but they still acted and identified with their being at 16. Now, many of us have a place where we congeal, but change is what is life. And we have to realistically look at ourselves. Are you the same person you were like 20 years ago? Do you have the same mindset? Some of you probably were 5 years old 20 years ago. And you weren't who you are now. But think about who you were 5 years ago. And it gets even worse when you get older. I mean, you think about, God, who was I when I was 50? What was I thinking about doing? We all change. Change is life. Just, if you get stuck, that's death. And this is also Swami Sarvagachan. He gave classes in Boston and Providence. And these were little notes taken as his classes or his talks. This book that's in the bookstore, which I find totally helpful, because we all need to watch our minds. You can take up spiritual life early on, but you still have to watch your mind your whole life, because it's really a rebel. It will go down a rabbit hole faster than anything you'd ever hope to see, and all of a sudden you're going, whoa, what did I get there? I mean, we all have to do it. You have to do it wherever you are. Okay, so he says, to get over ego, analyze it to realize how fictitious and temporal are our identifications. Try to realize who we really are, the Atman. Cultivate we rather than I or me or mine. When we can take over, there is no room for jealousy, envy, feelings of inferiority or superiority, power-seeking, domination. Feel we are all exactly the same, children of God. The differences are only apparent. And you think about that, the people who are highly successful in life, they're on a different path, but they're seeking power. But they're seeking it for happiness and peace of mind, because they think it will make them happy. We're going a different direction and think that will make us happy. The only thing that will give us peace is to realize our Atman. And finding anything outside can be helpful on the path if you choose directions that lead you in the way you want to go. But that also implies that you have to have a goal in mind. And I think people who bother to come to church on Sunday morning already have a desire for something more than what they're experiencing every day, where they feel something might be missing. That's what we're looking for. What's that missing? What is there? There's always more to life, we think. There's an old song in the 50s, is that all there is? And, I mean, I think many people feel that as soon as they reach each sequential success. Is that all there is? Because our intellect, our mind, our whole being knows deep inside that we are the Atman, and we are limitless. We have all power inside us. We are immortal. There is no any beginning or end to us, to the Atman, the divinity that we are. Now, if we want to do, how do we do it in this life? Because that's a pretty high, I mean, we can't all remember that all the time. We try. This is also Swami Sarvagachananda. He says the secret of mental health, which seems to, when he was talking about physical illness and mental anguish are both vitally important. So then he addresses the secret of mental health is organization or systematization of our thoughts. What to accept, what to reject, and how to correlate thoughts. Because what happens is we all kind of have a mental refrigerator up there and we push things in, And I think anyone who's ever cleaned out the refrigerator goes, oh my God, what's that thing in the back that I haven't seen for like 2 years? I wonder what it was. Well, we have to mentally clean the refrigerator and get rid of the stuff in the back. And if we can't get rid of the smell of the stuff in the back, put some baking soda in, cover it over with something positive. But take care of it. Get rid of those disorganized thoughts, those things that we're hanging on to. Make our mind steady in the direction we want it to go. And I'm going to end now with one more quote, if I can find it. It's Swami Brahmananda, who was Ramakrishna's spiritual son. And he said, I will tell you a secret. You may not fully understand its meaning now, but in time its truth will dawn on you. And this truth is that every man's will and mind lead him progressively toward good. Some are led along thorny paths, and some are led along smooth paths, but all search the same goal. And I'll stop there.
Hummingbirds kissing every flower, butterflies dancing all around, birds soaring high up to the heavens. I hear their songs come round and round. Silhouette mountains in the distance, pepper trees swaying in the breeze, sun shining down on every shoulder, babbling rivers flow with peace. Sun shining down on every shoulder, babbling rivers flow with peace. Sometimes this life falls down upon me, shadows appear from every side. Where is the beauty I was seeing? I look around, but it does hide. I pray for sun to light the shadows. I pray for beauty in my eyes. I pray for peace around this planet. Treasures like these are found inside. I pray for peace around this planet. Deep in our hearts it does abide. Hummingbirds fill me up with nectar, butterflies fill my soul with dance, birds fill my heart all up with singing. Everywhere I see abundance, beautiful visions in the mountains, colors abounding here and there. Endless the tapestry of living, all things connected everywhere. Endless the tapestry of living, all things connected everywhere. All things connected everywhere. All things connected
We have a few announcements. I haven't lost it yet. Oh, I want to end with how to replace negative thoughts with positive. And I'll read you the St. Francis prayer. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is discord, unity. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is error, truth. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is sadness, joy. Where there is darkness, light. O Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. It is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Okay, and now I have a couple announcements, but that prayer, I don't know, I think I first heard it way back in the 50s. And it says it straight out. Replace hatred with love. Just replace forgiveness with forgiving. Yeah. Okay, our announcements. Swami Sarvadevananda will give the Gita class next Saturday here in the temple at 5. And we will have the regular Swami Sardananda reading of Glimpses of a Great Soul on Wednesday at 5. If you are a member of the Vedanta Society, and you have to fill out a membership form to be an official member, you will receive via email the link to attend the annual members meeting. If you are not a member, you will not receive the link. Okay? And if you are a member and didn't receive it, contact Hollywood, please. Okay. And that's it.